Hello, this is Dustin Rollins, and we will continue talking about Aristotle's theory of virtue, and then we will conclude the survey of traditional ethical perspectives. So, Aristotle's idea was that human virtue is a rational mean in between two irrational extremes. What makes it rational is that a person has to use their rational faculty to analyze their experience of fear or anger or pleasure or speech in context. And they have to think about, should I be angry at this object? Should I be angry at it right now? Should I be angry at this object right now in this degree? Why am I even angry? And importantly, how best should I allow that anger to manifest in my behavior? Individuals who can rationally process anger, they haven't eliminated anger from their life. Instead, they've learned to control anger, and they can therefore use it in a productive way. Irascible people are individuals who their anger gets the better of them. Uh, so, in general, uh, the virtues that Aristotle identifies are rational virtues. They're virtues that only human beings can have because of our ability to reflect upon our present state of mind in relationship to the past and the future. Aristotle then connects his theory of virtue to a larger project of trying to live a happy life. Uh, his argument, in summary form, uh, is that in order to be a happy person, you have to be a good person. And in order to be a good person, you have to be a good reasoner. So the key to living a happy life, no matter what historical time you were born in or what country you were born in, the key to living a happy life in any situation is to become a good reasoner, be able to process in real time what is going on around you, and then being able to act in accordance with a balanced perspective. Okay, so if we can do that, he says, we can develop these virtues: bravery, temperance, wit, liberality, and good temper. And that this person will typically be successful, personally and professionally. I think it goes without saying that these qualities are valuable in a personal context. They'll help a person have friends, they'll help a person keep friends, um, they will keep a person from having an anger fit and getting in trouble with the law. Uh, but these virtues are always important in a professional sense, in that wit, for example, is what will enable a person to communicate properly with their own doctor. The buffoon may, uh, at a doctor's appointment, may exaggerate their symptoms. They may not say it in the right way. They may see too much. The boorish individual may not say enough to communicate to the healthcare professional the severity of the symptoms. The witty person is the person who understands what to say, how much of it to say, and how to say it so as to best self-advocate. Again, I would like to stress that these virtues did not arrive in people through luck or nature or nurture. Instead, these virtues are developed in individuals, according to Aristotle, through habits, through practice, and in order to practice, one needs to reflect upon their experience of them. So that the virtuous person is happier than the deficient, the cowardly, insensible boor who's stingy and pusillanimous. But the virtuous person is also happier than the excessive person, the rash, self-indulgent buffoon, who is prodigal and irascible. In all cases, using rationality well is what enables people to construct positive moral qualities in themselves. For Aristotle, possessing these positive moral qualities will produce a happy life over time. All right, so this concludes our discussion of Aristotle. So we have now learned 3 examples of philosophers who represent different kinds of ethical frameworks. So Socrates and Plato in the Republic were an example of utilitarianism whose object was the state or society. So actions were deemed good insofar as they contribute to the overall well-being of the state. We then can apply that to medicine so that insofar as one is a healthcare professional, they should be thinking about the best interest of the state in their administering of medical resources. And insofar as someone is a patient, they should focus upon their ability to get better and return to the workforce. That was Plato's perspective on medicine as represented in books 2 and 3 of Republic. We then turn to a universalist deontological perspective of Kant, who argued that equality should be our primary value, and that for anyone to have rights to a behavior, everyone would need to have rights to the same behavior. So that if lying is moral for one person, lying would need to be moral for everybody. The obvious problem is, if lying were moral for everybody, no one could successfully lie, since we would all know that we all were liars, and therefore we wouldn't trust one another, thereby rendering it impossible to actually tell a successful lie to somebody else. Kant is also notable for his insistence that human beings possess intrinsic value, whereas things possess instrumental or situational value. And so while duties in reference to things might fluctuate as the value of the thing fluctuates, duties towards other human beings never fluctuate because the value of other human beings never fluctuates. We finally talked about Aristotle, who thought that virtue was a rational mean between 2 extremes, and that by developing our capacity to reason, we could then use reason in all areas of our life to find balance, and in doing so, work towards our own personal happiness. Each of these perspectives has a kind of significance in meaning in a medical context. With Plato, it had to do with justice and the distribution of medical resources and how a person's rights originated in relation to others. Medical ethics will have to do with social justice and the distribution of medical resources and whether or not there should be equal access to healthcare services. Kant's moral framework has an influence in a medical context, not only in evaluating the moral status of things like contraception or euthanasia or abortion, but also in altruistic duties towards providing healthcare resources to individuals who otherwise do not have access. Aristotle's understanding of virtue is more perhaps personal, in that we would use his theory of virtue to kind of figure out how to find balance in our own lives so as to live the healthiest life possible. These 3 medical perspectives will continue to be relevant throughout the remainder of the course content. Most of the contemporary ethicists in bioethics, professional academics writing on issues in modern medicine, uh, they are influenced by one or several of the traditional moral frameworks. So, by mastering and understanding of these traditional frameworks, it'll help us better understand uh, the modern approach to these issues in medicine.